Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another YouTube video. I say welcome back. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new here. My name's Ketan. I call myself that day-to-day guy because I'm just a guy living his life day-to-day, getting by in the world, just like you, just like everyone else. And I'm here on YouTube sharing some of my experiences and sharing some of my passions. And watches is something that I love, and it's something I've been a bit resistant about sharing. I've sent numerous times at the end of my videos, I'm going to do a watch video, and I didn't want to come across as being pompous. But so I hope you take this in the spirit that it's meant. I'm just sharing with you a passion of mine, and I hope it inspires you, educates you, you know, whatever the case may be. So the format I'm going to do this in, I'm going to share with you my watches and take you through in the order which I bought them. So the first watch I'm going to share with you is my Omega Seamaster, the watch that Pierce Brosnan wore in his tenure as James Bond. First came out in GoldenEye, and that's it there. As you can see there, just a nice, clean, simple kind of diver's watch with the original strap on it at the moment. And yeah, it's a design that I love because A, I'm a massive Bond fan, and B, it's just a, you know, in my opinion, just a beautiful watch. So this watch I bought in November 2004. I was going to say 2020, no, 2004. So I've had this watch for almost 21 years. And during that time, this is my daily watch. I used to be super precious about it. And since my career changed from being a suit wearing person to a roughly as you see me now kind of person, I just wear it every day in the workshop. I wear it out on installs and so on. I don't worry too much about whether it's going to get scratched or whatever. But I've had it serviced once, and when they serviced it, they changed the bezel on here and they gave the strap a polish. But you can still see that whilst it's polished, it's still picked up some scratches since then, a couple of years ago. And what I love about these watches, you can just I've got this tool here that I bought online, and this is what I use to take the pins out of the watches and change my straps. So I've got this strap which I sometimes wear on the watch, a nice leather tan strap, or a metal mesh strap. This is another one which looks super nice. This is very similar to the strap that I'm going to show you in a few watches time. But yeah, this is the watch that I've got the kind of biggest kind of bond with, if you will, and no pun intended there, because this is my first proper watch that I bought. I remember it was a big deal. I'd wanted this watch since the 90s, and it was a 2004 where I was able to afford it, so I went out to the Ernest Jones, in fact, and I bought it in Brent Cross. Next watch was in 2005, so April 2005, I bought this little Longines. As you can see there, it's a very different style of watch. It's more of a dress watch, and it's super thin as well, unlike the Omega that I just showed you. This is a quartz watch, there's a battery in there, and both watches so far I've shown you have got dates in there, and the dates are always wrong. I never have the date on the correct date. I used to before. I used to, when it gets to the 30th, 31st of the month, or 28th of February, you change the date manually, and then got to a point where you just can't be bothered. So the dates on my watches are always wrong. This is a solid 18 karat gold watch, and it came originally with a black strap, but now I've got a tan strap on there. I say now, that's how it came. It originally came with a black strap in the shop, but then as a part of the deal, I said to them, can you put that strap on for me? There's another Longines with a tan strap, and I said I want that strap on this watch. And they were a bit reluctant about doing it, but they agreed, and that was that. And since then, I've always had this tan strap on here. This is not the original one that came with, because obviously it's 21 years old now, 20 years old. The next watch I bought was considerably further along. So this is 2004, this is 2005. This one here, I believe, was probably 2016. This is 2013, beg your pardon. This is a 1960s Omega Seamaster. This is like the gold watch. This is a very different style to the diver's watch, a much more elegant kind of dress watch. And again, much thinner. This one here is a manual wind up. And as you can see, the face is just a nice clean face. It does have a date on it. It does have a date on it, which you can see is incorrect. Well, it depends what day you're watching this, but it's incorrect. The time is incorrect as well. But I love one thing. This is obviously not an original strap for it, but I've got these straps on quick release, and I love changing straps on my watches because sometimes you change a strap and it's like getting a new watch because it completely changes the feel of the watch. So if you're hankering for a new watch, you don't want to spend the money, you don't want to push, bite the bullet and get a new watch, get a new strap. It's always worked for me. Sometimes it increases the time between watches. Next watch, so the first 3 watches I've shown you have dates on them. And one of the things about me and watches is I don't like watches where the faces are cluttered. So, the Rolex Daytona is a watch that everyone is like, any watch person's like, yeah, I love a Daytona, platinum Daytona, steel Daytona, gold Daytona, whatever, Daytona. I personally think, controversial opinion here, I think they're ugly. I think the chronograph dials on any watch is just too much. Because let's face it, who's going to record lap times and all sorts of other nonsense on your watch? If you want to do that stuff, you get an Apple Watch, you get a digital watch. So for me, those watches are watches you buy to like properly flex, to show that, I've got a Daytona, because you can tell it a mile off. For me, obviously, these watches are a fashion statement, but for me, I still like a clean watch. And this watch I bought in 2023. As you can see, there's no date on there. So this is completely clean. This is a very different, this is a brownie tone watch, and it's made out of titanium. So it is super, super, super light. And I mean, when I say super light, you can barely tell. There we go. You can barely tell that it's on. That's how light it is. And if you're anything like me, when I went into the shop, when I bought this watch, I actually went into the store to buy a green version of this watch when it first came out. And I thought, oh, I could do with a green watch, as you do. I went into the store, I looked at the green watch, and I was like, do I, don't I, do I, don't I? And then this caught my eye. And obviously it's a James Bond watch. I'm a massive James Bond fan. This is the watch that Daniel Craig wore in No Time to Die, his last outing as James Bond. And I went into the shop looking for the green watch. This caught my eye and I said, what's the difference between this and the green watch or the other Seamasters? And the lady said, this is made out of titanium for starters. And it's one of the only watches to have the, I always forget which one it is, Secret Service or one of the logos on there. So I'll show you, it's on the back there. You can see that kind of arrow there is a government symbol. But yeah, I thought to myself, yeah, but it's metal. I said, isn't it? I said titanium, but like, come on, this is all marketing nonsense, isn't it? And she said, no. She pulled the watch out, and I just held it like this, and I thought, wow, the watch is so unbelievably light, and it's really great for the size that it is. You put it on your wrist, and you can barely tell you're even wearing it, which is which is one of the reasons I love it, and the fact that it's a brown tone. So far I've got a blue watch, a gold watch, a white watch, and then a brown watch, kind of because I like to match my watches with the outfit that I'm wearing. So yeah, that's that watch. So we've gone from 2004, 2005, 2015 or 16, I said it was, or 13 rather, and then this one was 2023. The next watch is my Tissot PRX. This is a green watch, a green face. You can see there the waffle dial, waffle face, and it's a very simple design watch. Just to give you, just to explain, when I'm looking up there, I'm seeing what this camera here is seeing. So it's not that I'm watching television and doing this video at the same time, but there we go. This is a Tissot PRX, and this, one of the reasons I love this watch, we actually, when we do this trip to Germany every year, where we go to a car show, and every time we go duty free, we go and have a look at some watches. And my friend Foray tried on this watch, the green, this very watch, and I saw it in his hand, and I thought to myself, man, like that looks so nice. I thought I want one, you know, and because it's green. Because initially I went in, like I said, I went in to buy the green version of the previous watch. So I thought green watch would be great because I've got some, you know, green jumpers and green t-shirts and whatnot. And I thought, so if I'm wearing green hat, I can match my watch to my outfit, which I've already said that I love doing. So, you know, this watch was the perfect candidate for that. I also bought my dad a blue version of this, a quartz version of this, which is a battery powered version of this. And you know, he loves it. He started wearing it. My dad is not really he's never been one for wearing a nice watch. He's always liked the idea of having a nice watch, but I encourage him to wear it, and now he wears it. It's become his daily watch. But there you go. You can see on my wrist. So this is, I have quite small wrists, but this is the larger of the two sizes they do, and I'm quite pleased with how it looks. It doesn't look overly massive, because I don't want to be one of those people with these big, massive watches. You know, like the Breitlings and so on. They're just too big for my style. I like to be a little bit understated, as hard as that is to believe. But yeah, so that's my Tissot that I bought. I actually got that in, I think, January of this year. So that's taken us to 5 watches. The 6th watch. So I've got Omega, Longines, Omega, Tissot. So Omega is the one that I kind of favour the most, and I was going to buy Omega Aquaterra, which is again another watch that James Bond wore, a watch that what's his face Eddie Redmayne wore in The Jackal. And my friend Shan said to me, "You got too many Omegas, like, you know, branch out a little bit." And so I did. And years ago, I remember I said, I will never own a Rolex, just because of the whole thing of, you know, Rolex subs and Rolex Daytonas and so on. They're kind of like the, you know, the one to have, and they're very much what I deem as flexing watches. And I don't know whether I don't like them because A, I can't afford them, or B, I just don't like that I think they're flexing watches. And what I mean by that is they're show-off pieces. But anyway, the Rolex that I ended up buying is an entry-level Rolex. It's the kind of starting, I don't even use the word budget, but a budget Rolex. And this is a Rolex OP41. So this is the basic. This is silver dial. This is slightly different, you'll notice, because this is not the Oyster bracelet. This is the Jubilee bracelet on here from a Datejust. And again, I prefer this over the Datejust because I don't like the date bubble. I just like the clean look of it. I think clean really kind of sums up what I like a watch to look like. Just nice clean lines. There I use the word classy, but I ended up putting my name down for this in November last year, and I got the call from the local Rolex dealer in March and ended up going and picking it up. And this is, and what I love about this, again, silver dial, none of this kind of fancy kind of dial colors and so on, because this means I can wear this with practically any outfit, and it just goes. And I've still got the Oyster bracelet, obviously, but I found the Oyster bracelet just a little bit too plain, and this is enough bling without it being blingy, if that makes sense. So if you look here, it just looks right. So it's kind of almost looks like a Datejust without the date, with a Jubilee strap. So yeah, that's that. That is my latest purchase, and I've sworn off buying any watches certainly for the next 12 months or so. And I've already shown you some of the straps. Again, you know, this strap is a replica. This strap is a replica strap of this one. And you see, one is titanium, one is steel. So That way around? Yeah. There we go. Like I said, the strap changing thing is nice because you can mix it up and feel like you've got a new watch. Some of these things, this is the most interesting thing. I want to finish off here. The Tomorrow Never Dies, the No Time to Die watch came in this case. It's kind of nice, it's a bit quirky, but this case just sits in a box and it's put away. So some of this stuff comes and, you know, you only end up wearing the watch. So it's kind of a little, it's all kind of the ceremony of it, you know, of it all to justify the prices. And some of the prices, watch people might hate me for this, but they're watches at the end of the day. They tell the time, if I was going to say as good as any Casio, but they don't. In fact, they're worse because you've got to constantly keep them moving. So as a watch, a £10, £20 Casio is arguably better. I said it, better. But Casio doesn't look like this. It doesn't have the, you know, the moving parts and so on. So it's just kind of, it's finding a fine line between appreciating, you know, the design of the watches, what goes into making the watches and so on, but functionally, they're just there to tell the time, especially these watches. These are just time and the date is always wrong. There's no other functions on any of my watches. They're just time. There's no chronograph and world time and all that nonsense. I just use it to tell the time. That's it. But my friend and I joke about it. And like, you know, Rolex, for instance, all these ridiculously priced watches, you get watches for like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. And I think to myself, man, it's obscene. Just an obscene amount of money. The people that are spending 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand on a watch, if those watches didn't hold their value and they depreciated by 50, 60%, you know, as soon as you put them on, would people spend that kind of money on watches? No. And this is like a little humble collection. I've got friends of mine who've got, you know, watches, or one watch that will be worth more than all of these. So the watch collection is not about value. It's about, you know, what it means to you. And you know, when you put the watch on, do you like the way it looks? Do you feel a sense of pride? Do you feel a sense of achievement? Because for everyone, life is different. And I always kind of make a point of this. You know, when I'm out and about and I see somebody with a nice watch, whether it's a 200 quid watch, 300 quid watch, I will always compliment them on the watch. It's a genuine compliment, obviously, if I like it. There was a guy wearing a Tissot PRX last month, the month before, a friend's birthday, and I just, you know, started having a chat with him, and he loved it. Like, he just loved the fact that somebody noticed his watch, and it was a nice moment, you know. So yeah, that's it. That is my my watches. Next few weeks, I'm going to do a video on the SL. I do want to share that because I like cars as well, and we're going to a car show this Sunday, so maybe I'll get some footage from there. But if you have any questions about watches, let me know. Maybe I'm the wrong person, because maybe I'm not enough of an enthusiast and haven't been brainwashed to the point where I spend my life savings on watches. But I do like them. I like the way they look, and you know what goes into making them and so on. And obviously, being a Bond fan, let's face it, it's marketing, isn't it? Pierce Brosnan wears one, Daniel Craig wears one. I want one. It's nuts, isn't it? When you think about it like that, it's crazy. But anyway, that's a different video. So I thank you for watching. I'm going to put this watch back on and get on with my day. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Ciao for now.